What is up, everybody? Hope you have had a fantastic weekend and that your Monday is off to a great start. My name is Sean Grapevine. I'm the Vice President of Strategy here at UMortgage, and I am joined today by a man who needs no introduction, but who, has to suffer through one anyway, like he does every week. His name is Matt, the mortgage guy, Gougé. He's a YouTube star sensation. A real celebrity in the mortgage world. He's a former professional poker dealer, UFC, great father, above average husband, and all around good guy. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks for having me, brother. I'm excited to talk today. I know it's Fed week. We got a lot of stuff going on, and I know we've got some other cool conversations to get into about business and whatnot. But more than anything, I got some warm coffee and my buddy Sean. It's a great start to the Monday.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? I've got some coffee. What's your coffee get up at home?
So I brew, or I don't brew it. Well, yeah. I ground the beans from Temple Coffee. Temple Coffee is the best coffee in the world. And then I kind of change it up. That's one thing about like food or drinks or anything else in my life. Variety is the spice of life, brother. So this week I'm putting a little bit of cinnamon and some almond creamer in there. Sometimes I go oat milk. Sometimes it's with or without the cinnamon. Other weeks I'll just go black. I mean, it's to me, it's the way to do it, man. You can't always just have the same stuff.
This is an excellent example of something we'll talk about a bit later about like one of the things we'll talk about later is how to have conversations with your database of like people you just know in life. And I think a lot of people are intimidated to do it, but I think that's because they view all of this keeping up with their friends sort of salesmanship. And really it's just about understanding, take off, that as simple as that. And that'll, remind people that you care about them, that you're in the business, that maybe you get a deal out of it.
Maybe we'll talk about coffee. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. All right. I used to be in the specialty coffee industry. So I bought like a handmade espresso machine. It's plumbed in to our like water line, and it turns on every morning automatically at 5 a.m. turns off at 5 p.m. and pull myself, specialty shots of coffee. Got a little milk frother on there. I'm definitely team oat milk though. It's a superior milk, and I'm, I would say not politically motivated or anything. I just want the best milk, and the best milk for coffee is honestly oat milk. Better.
It really does go well with coffee. Something about the pairing. I'm not a wine drinker, so I don't know about any of those pairings, but I can tell you that coffee pairings, oat milk and some nice coffee definitely pair well together. Just like a great loan officer and a great real estate agent. It's all about pairings.
Wow. Yes, but unlike oat milk and wine, those don't.
Your mic is tripping, man. Maybe try to unplug it and plug it back in. It's doing a little something funky. I don't know if your mic's ready for this week.
You might have to really carry the conversation. I mean, you always
every other word you say is just landing with extreme efficiency, and it's amazing. But the mic seems to be a little bit laggy. Is that the term? What would the young kids nowadays call it?
I don't know. How about now? How does this sound?
Oh, beautiful, bro. Beautiful.
See, that happened last time. We'll
carry on. I think we're good.
All right, that sounds great. Okay, so let's hop into some things here. So if you're new to the Monday Market Update, it's two really handsome but dumb guys talking about the market in the prior week, in the upcoming week, some of the numbers that move the needle, and really about us being able to stay up to date and be those credible, authoritative experts to our clients, either as loan officers or real estate agents, so that these big market indicators that move markets, we know what they're about. We can talk about them with assuredness and confidence. And I say this every week, but it's because we are the closest as loan officers and real estate agents. We are the closest to the real estate and financial markets that anybody else is in your clients' lives, right? Unless they have a financial planner, which most people don't, honestly. Like we are a direct connection to the like economy. So being up to date and knowing about those things is super important. Weeks like this week are huge. We have the Fed market open market committee meeting happening on Wednesday at 2 p.m. That's where they decide whether or not to raise interest rates, lower interest rates. We actually, well, I won't, spoiler alert, we know what's going to happen on Wednesday.
We'll tell you if you join every Monday what's going to happen in the financial markets, because we know we get a sneak peek. Honestly,
exactly.
Yeah, based on conversations and what the Fed's saying, all that other stuff. But continue, my friend.
So before we get into that, we'll go over last week's main numbers. The biggest, there's some big numbers came out. GDP came out last week. Kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. The expectation was that it was supposed to come out at 2.2% annualized growth. It came out at only 1.6% annualized growth. So the market, the economy is slowing down a little bit, and you would think typically that means that interest rates would go down, as you would think that the Fed having higher rates is having the correct effect on the economy, and that like they don't want to overdo it, so they lower rates. But what happened when GDP came out? Freaking rates shot up. Nothing makes sense in this market, Matt.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. And, I'm convinced based on, a guy who really gets the most of my data from conversations. I'm just talking to people all day, every day, and they're real people. They're out there living in the economy. It's not as rosy as some of the numbers might suggest. And it might just be that the numbers haven't necessarily caught up, or people, this is another one of my assumptions, can manage to get by. And like, if you think about your personal finances, you can fake it for a little while. You can survive off of credit cards, but eventually that's going to come crumbling down, unfortunately, with everything being more expensive. Some of the data that came out from Q1 of 2024, where the defaults with the biggest banks are on the rise. People are running out of creative ways to float their finances, whether that's credit card debt, borrowing money, or, the old saying, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so I'm a firm believer that the average American, due to inflation, due to a bunch of different things, is, suffering personally, financially. And it's only a matter of time before all of this gets revealed. And the Fed, is their hands forced to do what they do with the means that they have, lower the federal funds rate, which kind of stimulates the economy.
Yeah, we've been saying that for a while, though. I don't know.
It's really coming, Sean. I promise. Yeah. Dude, it's coming. I can feel it.
Yeah. I don't believe it. I think this year is going to be. I think that inflation is going to stay pesky, and I think that I would be surprised if we got a single reduction in rate this year.
Oh, now you're leaning towards no rate cuts. This will be a fun conversation later. I know you have data on like the probabilities of rate cuts for the year. So we're going to get to in real time, give our own predictions. It's recorded live. The video lives forever. I get to come back in 2025, be like, I told you, Sean. Told you we'd have at least two.
Oh no, I think there's a non-zero chance of a rate hike this year. That's
fair enough. I think non-zero, like a 2%, 1 in 50 shot of a hike, is possible. But yeah, much more likely that we get a rate cut or two. And so maybe we can be on different sides and still be friends.
Yeah, that's true. It's true, but only if I'm right. Otherwise, I'll just ghost you. So also last week we had PCE, which is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation. So this did conflict with the GDP, the PCE, which is, again, it's like CPI, but different for no reason, seemingly. It went up 0.1%, from 2.6 to 2.7 on regular PCE, and then core PCE went up from 2.7 to 2.8%. Again, very small increases, but an increase isn't good. On the other side of that, 2.7, 2.8, as Matt said in the past, is like really not a terrible number if you look back 2018, 2019, kind of where it sat during a healthy economy. So, but they would really like it to stop going up, especially the fact that it's going up in the face of the Fed funds rate being as high as it is like, is especially concerning. So those numbers go into deciding the Fed's decision on where rates are going to go this week, this Wednesday at 2 p.m. Or like actually, it starts on Tuesday, but they kind of come out with it Wednesday at 2 p.m. And we can do the numbers on what the chances are in this rate meeting and the next few rate meetings to so let's do the numbers on where we are going. This is a really cool tool. I trot it out pretty much every week. This is the CME Fed Watch tool. You can just Google that if you want to keep up. And it shows the percentage chance based on activity of bond traders, percentage chance of a rate cut or what the rate will be at every given Fed fund. And Matt, you can see here, speaking of 2 or so percent, the chance of a rate cut this Wednesday is 2.7%.
Right, which sounds about right. I think a no action by the Fed is probable. So anybody who's driving and not looking at their screen and can't see the visuals, there's a tiny bar that represents 2.7%, which signals like 125 basis point move down by the Fed, and then there's a big bar which I can't even see it on my screen, but my guess is that it says something in the tune of 97.3 because
that's right.
Good at math like that.
What a legend.
God, what a 2.7 off of 100. I just right straight away, brother. That's why I get the big bucks. And that's the chance the Fed does nothing and stays pat, and that Fed funds rate stays between 5.25 and 5.50. So highly likely that the Fed doesn't do anything. But let me say this real quick, Sean, because I've said it 1,000 times on my channel. What's more important than what the Fed does is what the Fed says. So after that Wednesday wrap up where they say, hey, here's what we decided to do, they are going to have a press conference. Jerome Powell is going to speak. Everyone is going to be on the edge of their seats, taking notes, asking questions, trying to pick different parts of what they say and use that to project what's going to happen in the future, or use that to predict what's going to happen in the future. Predict was the better word there for sure, Sean. You're the master of words. So back to you, brother.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, this 2.7%. I mean, it's definitely it's like somebody left a trade on and they forgot to take it off. Mm-hmm. No shot at like it would. Essentially, like, people are so glued to what the Fed says they're going to do is that, like, if they did something out of character, it would like roil financial markets for like days to come. It would be really bad. So we know that they're not going to change anything. It's all about what they say. And some of the interesting stuff you can see here is just kind of smaller font, so I can look at it larger. It shows what the probabilities were a day ago, a week ago, and a month ago. So even a month ago, people had pretty much made their peace with the fact that it was a 10-to-1 shot that the Fed would lower rates on this May 1st meeting. I've got the numbers for June 12th as well. Still not looking good. 88% chance of no change and about 11.5% chance of a reduction in rate. But, this one's really interesting. If you look back at a month ago, there was a 40% chance of no change and then a much higher chance of either a small change or a big change. And I just think that is so interesting. Like we have really changed what we thought last month. And then if you look at the July end of July meeting, you can see here 70% chance of no change. So people really don't think even in July there's going to be a reduction. And then you got a small chance of a 27% chance of a minor reduction. But again, if you go back a whole month, we only thought there was a 23% chance of this was just a month ago when things had already kind of like reset as far as expectations. Like you go back a month, there was people really only thought there was a 23% chance that there would be no change, 75% plus chance, some sort of reduction is what I mean. They change. So super crazy. And rate the end all be all of this is that rates aren't going down anytime soon. And you can see what an elevated rate market looks like here. This is from Optimal Blue. These are updated daily. This is the average 30-year mortgage rate today, as of today. I mean, honestly, this is probably as of Friday afternoon. And this going back a month, you can see that a month ago we were at the 6.76 rate, and now we're at 7.22. So I mean, does that track with what you're seeing when you run pricing? About a 0.5% increase in rates over the last
Yeah,
month?
and a lot of conversations I have, like obviously demand for real estate is affected by mortgage interest rates. For a lot of people who are kind of like, on the fence, 7%, Sean, seems to be kind of this line in the sand where like above 7, they're like, man, I don't know. My mortgage payments can be slightly higher than my rent payment, and maybe now's not the time. The problem with it is like, I don't know if it's necessarily something that you can wait out. I don't know if it's going to get better for you, like magically in a year, rates will be lower and home price will be lower. Like that is highly unlikely.
Not gonna happen.
But this change, and I think consumer sentiment really, like, change is one thing, and then like direction is another. So we could go from 7.2 to 6.9, and because it's directionally going down, like that will increase demand, and it probably more than like demand was at 6.9 if it was going in an upward
Right.
trajectory.
Mhm.
So interesting stuff to look at. I think consumer confidence data is tomorrow, right? We got a lot of data coming out this week.
Yeah, we've got consumer confidence. Great call out. We've got Case Shiller, which tracks the average cost of homes across America's 20 biggest cities. Last month, it came in at 6.6% annualized increase. So we'll see if that goes down at all. It's all about employment this month. We've got ADP putting out employment numbers. We've got job openings called JOLTS on Thursday. And we've got the official Bureau of Labor Statistics employment report, which is where we get our unemployment rates. That'll be coming out on Friday. And we've got the Fed on Wednesday. So really, really insane week. We've got a special edition of the Monday Market Update next week called What the Fed, where we really pick apart what happened at the Fed meeting and what it means for us. Really, really curious to see how those CME Fed Watch numbers change as a result of that. But I think we are done doing the numbers. With our remaining time, would love to talk about something that matters to agents, loan officers, honestly, anybody who sells anything. And that's mining your database of personal contacts. Something I think it's a lost art in the sales world.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, those of us who have done this for any number of years, I think I'm approaching like 1,000 closed loans, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I've got, 1,000 people who like me and trust me enough to handle one of the largest financial transactions of their life. And so just as a real estate agent has clients who have trusted them to the point where the house is the biggest, financial purchase that I'm going to do in my life, and like you, Susie, are the person who I'd like to guide me through this. We can't take that for granted. And the fact that, like you said, financial planners, loan officers, real estate agents, like we're plugged in looking at the data every single day. Real estate agents might not look at the markets, but they're looking at, real estate and how that's trading, the trends there. And so clients want to hear from us. They want to know about what's going on. And I think that the easiest thing for real estate agents and lenders to do is stay in front of clients and give them housing data that pertains to them, right? I use Home IQ, and even if people aren't interested in real estate in general, they're interested about their own personal residence, which for a lot of people is one of the best ways for them to build wealth over time. And so monthly, I send out a report. The cool part about it is, as they're digging through this report, like, is my home value accurate? Do I have enough equity to get a credit line? All these questions kind of like are embedded in the report. And so people ask them, and it comes straight to me, and I'm able to respond and answer questions like, how much of my payment is going towards principal? And that's an easy way to add value where I don't want anything from you. I'm happy to answer questions as someone who's plugged into the market. And then 2.5 years from now, when it's time to downsize, you're going to sell, you need a new mortgage to buy the condo in your retirement spot, I'm here to help. So I think that it's a good call to action for any real estate agents that are listening, any loan officers that are listening, to do that and stay connected. And quite honestly, it's a call to action to the average consumer. If you're not connected to somebody, who's able to get accurate data for you and who's paying attention, it's a good thing to know just what's good. And even if you're not planning on moving, even if you're not planning on doing anything, just data about your own house, you might have no idea, and then look up one day and go, oh my gosh, I owe 225 on my primary residence and it's worth 725. I was thinking about moving to Tennessee where my grandkids are, and we weren't going to do it for another 10 years, but I might be able to sell this California place. I was going to make a California joke, but I left it out. So I love you, Californians.
You're still there. You haven't left.
44 years. Yeah, they can leave. I got to stay. I got a bunch of family and business going on here. But, it's those kind of things where the consumer wins by getting data. The real estate agent and the loan officer win by staying in front of clients who have already told them, I like you and I trust you. And as a real estate agent, the last thing I'll say, if you don't do this, chances are when they decide to move to Tennessee 4.5 years later, if you're not staying in front of them and adding value, they forgot who the heck you are.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think using tools like Home IQ and stuff like that is really great. I think what a lot of people fall into the trap of doing is posting about their what they do for work, on social media. And while you should be doing that, most of us get stuck in an echo chamber. Like the only people on my Facebook feed right now, no friends, no family, all mortgage people, right? Well, I mean, a lot of them are my friends, but like no non-mortgage friends, right?
I thought we were friends, but yeah.
And I know when I post, what I know that means is when I post something, the only people that are getting it are other mortgage people that already know what I do, and that's great. That's good for building a professional network. But like, you can't convince yourself that posting on Facebook about real estate, if you're a real estate agent, is going to be what reminds people that you're in business, right? Like, it's going to miss, what percentage of people see each one of your posts that are your friends? 2-3%. So I think what a lot of people miss out on is that, like, picking up the phone, scheduling a yearly check-in, a 6-month check-in, a quarterly check-in, whatever it is, with your former clients, or just, people that you know are going to need to move someday, which is literally everybody, doing that direct outreach and just checking in, seeing if they have any questions, adding value, like you said, and just being a good community member, and sort of giving them financial wisdom to lean on, stuff like that, because nobody else is doing that, first of all. And it's so easy to forget. Like, I got new car insurance recently. I just did it online. I was like, I can't remember who did my car insurance pass. I know I talked to somebody. I mean, it was like I had a 2 or 3 year old policy. I was like, I can't remember this guy's name, and I'd rather just do it online. And that's what loan officers and real estate agents are terrified of, right? Like I'll just do it online because it's so much easier. So without that personal connection, people are going to forget about you, and then they're just gonna do it online. And I took $100 every 6 months off my car insurance bill. But I'm sure that guy, I probably would have gone with that person and paid the extra $100 if I just would have remembered his name. So that's on him.
Quite honestly, like that example, Sean, I know a great insurance agent who I work with. Like, things change, and based on your scenario, like 2550 is no longer like sufficient coverage if you're out there driving on the roads of California, and so you want 50, 100 or whatever. I don't even know what that stuff means, but I don't have to, because I've got a professional who's going to tell me, hey, Matt, this might cost $78 more every 6 months. And so that's the exact reason. And same goes for mortgage and real estate stuff. You might assume something, and having a professional that, quite honestly, is a free resource, and is providing all that value and being a free resource because they want you to keep them in mind next time they're going to buy a piece of real estate or take out a mortgage, or in your case, a new insurance policy. And if you do a great job, they're going to call you. And if this insurance agent would have done a better job, Sean, you would have called and said, here's what I'm looking at. Like, what should I do? Do I need more coverage? Do I need less?
I just remembered his name.
Uh-oh.
Shoot. All right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he'll get another shot. Yeah. Someday.
I mean, maybe you should, you got to test him. You got to reach out and ask him a question. And if he answers it well, provides value, then he's back in the rotation.
The old, fantasy novel, sort of, like really asking a riddle to see if they can get through this. A test of knowledge. So yeah, I think that there's a lost art to, I mean, a lot of like old sales jobs, and I had to do this in my first mortgage job. I don't know if you had to do this. They were like, write down, this is typical all across sales. Write down, the 50 people closest to you and spend time calling them. Like good, like cold call, there's nothing on the line, good cold call practice. And, it really shows like your sphere of influence are the people who are going to.
Do you have your phone?
Know.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, brother. But you're exactly right. Yeah, do you have your phone? Go to contacts. How many contacts do you have?
1,461. I think.
Yeah,
I looked at this earlier.
This is a good exercise for people to do. Holy crap. 4,703 contacts. It's gonna be hard to keep in front of all these people. But yeah,
using tools like the Reach app, which we can go over some
future
other
episode for sure, brother. Let's do it.
Dude, Reach app is amazing. I mean, you can text using an iPhone, using the blue from your phone number, using the blue bubbles, as tons of people, and you can personalize it with their first name. So cool. So if you want to
send them a video, say, hey, I thought this might help, and then just 100 people coming from you individually.
A link to the Monday market update.
Oh man, that would be money. That's for a future
crazy.
one.
Yeah.
All these tips, they're coming. So anybody who's watching, rest assured, you're going to get financial updates. You're going to get tips for increasing your business. And, it's only going to get better.
Yeah. Next week, we'll talk about how to ask for referrals. This week was about, you should ask for referrals. Next week, how to ask for referrals. So Maddie, it's been great. I really enjoy kicking off Monday this way with you. I hope everybody else does as well. Make sure you, come on board for the What the Fed next Monday. Any final thoughts there, Mr.
Well,
Gougé?
I didn't get a chance to argue with you, but I posed a question in the comments of when the first rate cut from the Fed comes. Glover, who I believe is in Silicon Valley, said 2025. So he's on your train. He's on the Sean Grapevine train, no cuts in 2024. I got to shout out Kevin Hawthorne too, because he joined from Lakeland, Florida. He's always supporting me and the Math Mortgage Guy YouTube channel. And so, wow. I think on future episodes too, if you've got input, you want to throw something at us, me and Sean are happy with doing some freestyle and answering questions as we go. We'll argue about how many rate cuts in 2024 on next episode as well.
Yeah, we'll know a little bit more about what the Fed thinks next.
And I speak really good Jerome, so I'll translate Jerome and just trust me, you don't want to listen to the dry 45 minutes of that guy talking. I'm going to tell it to you in layman speak and straight to the point, and I'm going to give you a 45-second rundown of it. So stay tuned.
I can't wait. All right, buddy. Well, I'll see you next week. Guys, thanks for being a part of this. I know your time is valuable. It means a lot to us that you'd be a part of this. Have a great day. Let's go call some of our clients.
Let's do it. I'm in. Later, brother.